Howdy guys, I'm Josh and let's do things. This is gonna be a single take. I'm a little scared, but I don't really care to edit right now because I have stuff that I need to edit and I'm just not going to. So today I wanted to talk about a little bit like a different kind of thing than usual, because usually it's just like vlogs of my life because I have a fun life and I like sharing that on the internet with you guys. And it's not short content, obviously. So I just wanted to talk about racism, actual racism, and there's another point I was going to talk about, but maybe we won't. So yeah. So a lot of people have a lot of opinions about our president-elect being a racist. I can't speak to that. Like, I don't know his heart, but neither do you. And so you can look at some of his actions and say, well, that might be racist or that might not be racist, depending on what your even definition of racist is. You know, because like some people could view celebrities using like clothing from another culture without actually like having a vested interest in that culture and say that's cultural appropriation. But then people of that culture could look at it and be like, no, I don't care. Like, I don't feel offended by that. Oh, that's the third thing we were going to talk about is offense. So this is going to be like the first of a series, hopefully, if you guys like this. So I know my like camera is shaking because I'm sitting here. My car is running. Actually, I'm going to turn that off. I need to log back in. Get back on track. So it was really, really prevalent during this election cycle whenever Trump spoke at the convention of like the NABJ convention, which if I'm not mistaken, is the National Association of Black Journalists. So already I myself am kind of like, that's an interesting name. Like, because black encompasses so many different things, like a plethora of different cultures. You mean like look at all of the different African tribes and cultures and all of their different tribal traditions. And then also you can look at different African American communities in the States and see how they are similar and different from their African counterparts, and see, you know, like they've developed their own culture. Like I would say people, you know, from like the North, like African Americans from the North are very different from African Americans from the South because of just historical differences. Like, and a black person from Atlanta and a black person from Pennsylvania would probably have very different attitudes and very different perspectives, because I think the divide is way more north-south than anything, at least culturally, because the South just has this very unique, I don't know, substance to it that the North does not have, right? I got a little off track with that, but you see what I'm saying here. And then like, we're not even talking about Caribbean communities. Like, so there are a bunch of different variations of people that fall under the label black. And then it's like, how black do you have to be black? Right? Like, I mean, is it just that you have black ancestry and can prove that some part of you came from Africa? Because honestly, at that point, then I can be like, well, I am like Powhatan and I am Native American because I found Pocahontas in my family tree, right? But that doesn't make logical sense, right? Because like, I do not look Native American. I know that. And I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to be like Native American on like the things that they have you fill out in school for standardized testing. So then what is it, right? You can see how black is it's a very like wispy kind of thing that we're getting at here. And so, I don't know. I just would like not name it that. I would be like National Association of African American Journalists, because that would be more of like a established group, instead of being like, well, you could be like a first generation immigrant from Nigeria, or you could be, you know, from down to the Bahamas and you're just like freelancing with the NABJ, right? Do you see what I mean here? So then Trump goes on to say, and he's kind of an idiot sometimes, let's just be real. He basically says that Vice President Harris at one point in her career, well, like during the presidential election, she turned black. This is awful phrasing, and I understand why so many like activist groups were really like, what is he even saying? Like, how is this allowed? And I concur, but I also don't. So like, he was trying to bring awareness to a specific fact that like Harris formerly had been very much proud of her South Indian ancestry. Always like South Indian, like Kamala Devi Harris, right? And all of this, like, very much an advocate of like Indian and South Asian rights. And then during the election, and I did see this, and I do think it's a problem that needs to be addressed, is that she really leaned into like the black side of her ancestry a little bit too hard. It felt a little forced, right? Because she had been so in touch with her South Asian ancestry, then she just suddenly woke up one day and she didn't, I wouldn't say she turned black, but I would say she tried to appeal to a larger ethnic group. She pivoted like one does. And instead of having, California, which is, very liberal, very diverse, quite a few Asians in the electorate. Instead, she leaned into a bigger ethnic group nationally, which is African Americans and like Black Americans. Again, like we keep going back to this black-white stuff when it's really not that simple, but you understand what I mean. So, and then people were like, that's really racist. She didn't turn black. And it's just that he used really bad phrasing to bring up a problem that did happen, or a problem that I think would need to be addressed, because I would not feel as comfortably voting for her. If I was voting, I'm not voting right now. I am too young, but yeah, if I were considering voting for her, it would be definitely something that I'd want to talk to somebody about. I don't know, like talk to her about, have a little bit of an explanation as to why she's over here and she's suddenly very much promoting African American culture, which is honestly, what are you even saying at this point? Because like, African American culture, black culture, and white culture, like people say white people don't have culture. It's kind of true. I think really it's American culture, but like she kind of really leaned into ghetto culture, which is a specific subset of traditionally African American culture. If you understand what I mean, like leaning into the whole hood type aesthetic, if we even want to call it that, with having like Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion endorsing her, well-known rappers within the hood kind of section of Black America, instead of having people that are like, I don't know, like not associated with that kind of class. Like, what's his face? The guy that plays Medea. Like, I feel like that would have been a more broadly appealing person to come out and endorse her, because she really leaned into the very like ghetto culture vibe, which is traditionally African American, but it's kind of stereotyping, right? Like, and I feel like other people like Tyler Perry, that's what his name is. Tyler Perry would be more of like a, I don't know, if you're really trying to reach out to this ethnic group. And again, ethnic groups, I feel like they don't have very much factor on our lives, or at least myself as a Gen Z guy. I don't see color personally. Like, I think our generation has definitely moved past racism and assuming things about other people just because of the color of their skin. I think that our parents' generation, well, most of our parents, being millennials, they kind of overcompensated, and then they raised their children to be very, 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 not like racially tolerant, but like almost like DEI kind of. Because I disagree with DEI, because it is like, It's reverse racism, you know? And so it's like, I watched this video the other day where this really great girl that I like to listen to, talking about psychology topics, she gave an example talking about wearing an American flag pin and how that could be seen as more progressive, or more conservative, and how conservatives are generally seen as more racist. And I was like tracking with it this entire 30-minute long video, and then I'm like, hold up, what? You're saying because you wear a flag pin, you're more commonly patriotic, and since you're more commonly patriotic, you're more commonly conservative, and since you're more commonly conservative, you're more commonly racist? And it was all about offense as well, and I think that's a big thing you have to take into consideration, because all of these leftists online were clutching their pearls when Trump came out and he said that Harris turned black, and I think that was an absolutely horrible wording for it, because it was like, oh, he's a racist, oh, he's questioning her heritage, and it's like, she can have both heritages and emphasize both of them. He's just signaling a shift in emphasis. But no one seemed to really look past and actually understand what he was trying to say. They were just like, oh, well, this is obviously proof that he's racist. It's like, no, it really wasn't. What it's proof of is that you're assuming something about him based on one remark, which was poorly worded, I give you that, and then assuming things about the people that voted him in based off of that particular remark. Like, Republicans are suddenly racist. And I agree. Racist Republicans do exist. Racist Democrats also exist. And I think the whole DEI thing, that is reverse racism, because I could be racist. It's very true. I don't think I'm inherently racist. I don't have a bias, I'll date black girls, I'll date Asian girls, I'll date whoever, honestly. Please just show up at my door. Hispanic girls, I love myself some Hispanic girls. I'm kind of talking to one right now, right? But, I've moved past the whole color thing, and I think most people have, but then the whole DEI initiatives, I think they come from a good place, a morally upstanding place, because they're like, white people were, down on the, marginalized groups in this country for so long, and it's like, it's true. And I think that was a historical injustice, and I think it's been righted in today's society. But to then go and penalize white people based off of perceived racism that somehow exists in the current day, I think is a little hasty in judgment, and I think it is a misstep. Because I am of Italian ancestry, largely. Italian and German, right? But Italians, way back when, were not considered white, okay? They were considered second-class citizens because they were darker than Anglo-Saxons and Germans, Germanic peoples. Because they were because, I'm sure you've seen what Mediterranean people look like. They are more olive-skinned, and olive-skin was basically considered not white. So they passed legislation trying to control the influx of them. And then also, since they were majority Catholic, because, Italy, Greece, well, not Greece, but Italy, Spain, Southern Europe is more commonly Catholic. They were just yeah. And, it was really kind of Catholic phobic. And also, it was xenophobic, Italiophobic. I don't know what you're going to try and say. But then to go and say, because I'm white, because, all of those kind of ethnic differences between Germans and Anglos and Irish, they all kind of disappeared within the 19th and 20th centuries. But then for me to go and apply to a university because they say, you're majority white, and then give my spot to someone else who can prove more closely, or just look differently than me, look like they're from a different minority group than me, that is crazy. That is racist. And really, if we want to get down to it, I'm part of the like marginalized group because it was the 1920s. It has been like 100 years, right? Like, where are my historical injustices? Because slavery ended a while before then, okay? Obviously, the 1960s hadn't happened yet, and obviously they were second-class citizens, but so were Italian Americans. So it's like, why am I not considered part of, like, the groups eligible for DEI representation, right? Like, you see the problem here, because I do look white, and you could say that I am white, but if we want to get down to, like, addressing historical injustices, I should get a spot within, you know, the marginalized group section because of what my ancestors suffered, according to this logic. So, it is racism. And it's way more racist than Trump's comments, because they were not sensitive by any means, but Trump is not a sensitive person. And I think if you have listened to him at any length, you should know that about him. And I don't think you should expect something that he's not going to give, which is, like, actually intelligent discourse. Sorry, that was rude. I do like Trump. I'm glad that he's back in office, although I couldn't really do anything to help it. I prefer him over Harris, right? And it was a racially insensitive remark, but it is way more, like, DEI practices are way more actually racist than Trump saying Harris turned black because she decided to emphasize a different part of her ethnicity. I don't know. Sorry, I ended up rambling, but I might actually retitle this video because it's supposed to be, like, about racism and then about perceived racism, and then about offense. But I think I'm going to get to offense more in a later video because I am at, like, 17 minutes right now. And, yeah. I don't know. If you made it this far, you get a cookie. I'm joking. But if you made it this far, thank you for listening. I don't know. These were all just my opinions. I don't really ever, like, I read a bunch of things politically, so I make sure that I'm not in what's it called? An echo chamber, because I think those are all too common in society right now. But I don't have, like, any sources to cite. This is just really the distillation of all of my like political and religious beliefs kind of coming into this video, which I haven't really showcased this side of myself before, so I hope you guys are okay with it. But yeah, if you do come after me for being a racist for saying the stuff that I said about DEI, I'm sorry, because I think you need to turn off the screen, and I think you need to get a dictionary and look at the words that I talked about, because, yeah, like read a history book. Italian Americans were not Americans for a while. And I think that wraps up everything. I'm gonna be out with a new political video soon, so I hope you guys like this, because I'm gonna continue posting it, because I really love talking about politics. I really love yapping to my camera, and this just fuses my love of those two things. I just yapped for another minute, so like, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!